Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to another episode of From the Archive. Today we're talking about the 1952 Moulin Rouge. So, the 1952 Moulin Rouge was directed by John Huston, who always wanted to do a film on the life of Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, whose paintings Huston fell in love with while in France in 1944. Uh, he finally got his opportunity when Pierre Lemieux released a biography about the painter. Huston took that opportunity to put the film into production and called up Jose Ferrer, who he thought would be perfect for the role. Jose Ferrer also ended up playing the main character's father in the movie as well. Uh, for the look of the film, they actually went with some more toned down colors for the Technicolor part of the film, as they felt that that would give a better feel to the film and would feel more like one of Lautrec's paintings. This did not make Technicolor very happy. In fact, until the finished product came out, they were really against Huston doing this. When the finished product came out, they kind of just moved on. As for how they made Jose Ferrer look like Lautrec, they managed to make a couple cutaway boots for the actor and managed to strap his legs to what he would call this torture contraption, as it really hurt his legs and he had to get out of it every so often just to get circulation back in them. The film was released in December 23rd, 1952, and was a huge success financially, making about $9 million on a budget of about $1.1 million. Critics liked it a lot as well, and felt that the look of the film, both with the muted Technicolor and the makeup around our main character, were all really well done. The film actually went on to be nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It lost the Best Picture award to The Greatest Show on Earth. I have seen both of these movies. I do not understand how that happened. More on that in a little bit. Anyway, so how has the film aged from 1952? Is it still a good movie? Well, let's talk about it. So Moulin Rouge, like I said earlier, is a film about the life of Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, and kind of about his two really big love affairs. One love affair with Mary Charlotte, who was played by Colette Marched, and another affair that he had very late in life with a woman called Marion Heim. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. Some of these names are really hard for me. Played by Suzanne Fillon. And pretty much, it's just about the artist's life, the paintings he did during those time periods, and really about France during those particular time periods. Now, I really like movies like this. This is a character study of a particular artist and what he probably went through dealing with a quote-unquote defect at the time. He wasn't able to grow because his parents were cousins, and because of an accident that prevented his bones from growing naturally, so he was considered shorter. As such, he was always considered a social outcast by his peers, never really feeling at home unless he was in the dance halls and the brothels in France during those particular time periods. This one focuses mainly on his relationship with the popular dance hall Moulin Rouge. Though, for a movie called Moulin Rouge, it's in there 3 times in the movie overall, which is kind of weird, to be honest. In fact, the last third, it doesn't even show up at all. And it follows this guy and kind of what drove him to his paintings, what he really saw as inspiration. And I really enjoy the overall feel of this film, and as we follow Lautrec through what inspired him to become such a prominent painter. And the tragedy of his life, as the more of an outcast he felt, the more he just went into a drunken stupor. Now, some biographers claim that this isn't a complete accurate showing of Lautrec, as he seems to be more wallowing in his again quote unquote defect, even though apparently he was a lot more comfortable with it in his life, according to a lot of historians. I'm not sure about that. I haven't done enough research to really dispute that. But again, it works for the movie, and in that case, I think it's not bad. The characters are all really well written. Um, Lautrec is obviously someone we want to sympathize with and root for and feel really bad for as he continues down his downward spiral. And we really do get enough time with each of the two women that he primarily falls in love with. And we get to see those relationships and how they unfolded, and we get to really sympathize with him at every turn, and we also get to understand those women's point of view as well. Uh, the only characters I wish were developed more were the characters within the Moulin Rouge. Specifically, the friend that Lautrec had in Jane Avril, who's played by Zsa Zsa Gabor in the film. And their interactions are probably the best interactions in the film, but we don't really get to know a ton about her either. Mind you, it's not her story, but it's weird that she continually came back into the fold without us really learning anything about her other than she just fell in love at the drop of a hat. Um, the performances are all really good. John Ferrer, or Jose Ferrer, however you pronounce it, is fantastic in the role as Lautrec, and I didn't even realize he was playing a double role in this film because you could not tell based off the makeup and based off the performances, and he does a very good job as these two characters, especially when they're both on screen together. I really enjoy all the performances in the film. I think they all do a great job. The overall visual style is great. I like the idea of using muted Technicolor to give a feel like it's similar to Lautrec's paintings, and the makeup and costume work is brilliant. It's no wonder it won awards for those particular categories when the Oscars came around. This film is really good in those regards. The set design's also really good as well. Then you have the music done by Georges Auric. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced the name. And I feel like that probably could have been better, but what we got was pretty good. And the song he writes for Zsa Zsa Gabor's character, Zsa Zsa doesn't actually sing the song, some other actress does, whose name escapes me at the moment, is pretty good. All the music beats are really well done. Mind you, he is borrowing a lot from classical music for the setting, and that works, though, for this film. Overall, it's relatively fine. It's not a score I would go out of my way to try to find, though. At the end of the day, Moulin Rouge is a good movie. It's not John Huston's best work. I've already reviewed probably his best work in The African Queen and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, but this is definitely up there with his other films, and I definitely would say that if you like looking at France in the early 1900s, late 1800s, you might want to give this film a watch. It's also a great character study of a particular painter who was very prominent during that time period. Anyway, is this film a buy, stream, or avoid altogether? Well, it's not an avoid altogether. So the question becomes, does the special features help this film? And unfortunately, this particular DVD has no special features, and I could not find a Blu-ray if it exists. So, with that all in mind, is the film good enough on its own to be considered a buy? And the answer is, honestly, yeah. I rather enjoyed this movie. I felt it was very good. All the beats that it meant to follow, the characters are all well developed for the most part. The performances are amazing. The film looks absolutely spectacular. I really enjoyed this film, and I really didn't expect to be honest. If you haven't seen this film, I definitely would say pick up a copy and add it to your collection, because it's really worth it. Anyway, that's what I thought about Moulin Rouge from 1952. What'd you think about it? And let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And next week, if you've been paying attention to my channel, a certain individual will be taking over this show and calling it From the Crypt instead of From the Archive. He wanted me to let you know that, and I'm quoting him here, "Foolish mortals, I will be arriving with the movie of Alien to start off our horror spectacular." Oh god, that's going to be a long 2 months. Anyway, I will see you after 2 months.